Okay, without much delay, let me invite Dr. Anshul Fai, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Bhilai, to make his presentation. Dr. Fai, you have 25 minutes to make your presentation. At around 20 minutes, I will give you a reminder.
Okay, very good afternoon, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present it at this symposium. I will be presenting my work on mechanics of fracture initiation in glassy amorphous polymer. As my PhD, I did this work at IIT Kanpur. So I will start with a small introduction to amorphous glassy polymers. These polymers are thermoplastic polymers in which these polymer chains are long chains, okay, and they are entangled they are in and very entangled state below the glass transition temperature. Okay, this amorphous morphology results in the transparency property for this polymer, and hence these polymers are used when the high optical clarity like glass is needed in application. Okay, so some of the polymers are like polycarbonate, polymethyl methacrylate, PMMA, polyurethanes, polyether sulfone, and polyvinyl chloride, and there are others which are of commercial importance. Okay, some of these polymers are also blended with some soft polymers, which makes them applicable in several industries like construction, medical, aerospace, etc. Okay, today I will be concentrating on one of the polymer, which is polycarbonate, which is one of the toughest polymer, and it is used in various industries which are needed for where it is needed for impact applications. Okay. I would like to introduce some two major phenomena in these polymers. So the polymers which are ductile polymer, they kind of deform with one of the phenomena which is called the shear yielding. When this polymer is loaded under uniaxial condition, at a certain stage a shear band forms in these polymers, and then this shear band expands throughout the specimen, during which this polymer elongates and you get this flat region, and that makes this polymer ductile. When the shear band has expanded, like in this figure D, throughout the range of the specimen, after some time this polymer breaks. So this phenomena of shear yielding makes this polymer ductile polymer, and it can actually go up to a very large extent. The polymers which are not ductile, they actually fail after a very small strain with a phenomena called crazing. Crazing is one of the phenomena which happens only in polymers. So basically the craze is crack-like structures, but it is not exactly like a crack. It is a damage zone ahead of the crack tip, and this zone is bridged. This can be assumed like a crack-like structure, but it is bridged with some of the crazes which are like fibrils of long polymers, as can be shown in this figure. Okay, so this works like a damage zone, and when there is enough stretch in this crazes tears, and then this forms the crack. So basically this is the craze forms before the formation of crack. Okay, this is one of the image in polystyrene taken inside the SEM, which shows nice crazes in polystyrene. Okay, so let us go ahead to the motivation of studying this mechanics of fracture initiation. So what in literatures amorphous the fracture initiation problem, dynamic fracture initiation problem, is relatively less studied and understood compared to the fracture propagation in amorphous polymers. So that's why we will concentrate mostly on the dynamic fracture initiation. One of the reason for studying the fracture initiation problem in polymers is also the phenomena which has been shown experimentally. On the right hand side, you see a graph which shows the dynamic fracture initiation toughness versus the rate of loading, which is mentioned in terms of K dot. Okay, if you see at the very high strain rates, the fracture toughness of these polycarbonates, the fracture initiation toughness of polycarbonate becomes very high. Okay, and this phenomena is not very well explained in literatures. So one of the objective of the studying the fracture initiation was also to if we can find out some of the mechanics behind this drastic increase in the fracture initiation toughness. Now, to go ahead with our the analysis, we thought of taking a combined experimental and numerical approach, where we first conduct fracture experiments on polycarbonate. For conducting fracture experiments, we use some of the techniques like high-speed imaging and digital image correlation. Then the parameters like fracture time as well as boundary condition from the experiments goes as an input to for the numerical simulations. We conduct three-dimensional numerical simulation where we use well-calibrated constitutive model for these amorphous polymers. And that's how, by combining this experimental and numerical technique, we can come up with we tried to come up with some kind of mechanics for the fracture initiation in these polymers. Now, on the experiment sides, we conducted dynamic fracture experiments on 3-point bend on the 3-point bend configuration for this polymer specimen. So, in figure, I shows the dynamic the Hopkinson bar setup. So, the striker bar strikes the loading bar, and there are several strain gauge connected with the instrumentation, which at the time triggers several equipments like amplifier and camera. At the time when the loading wave reaches the specimen and loads the specimen, the camera takes this high-speed camera takes images, and that's how we get the loading phenomena captured during the loading of this specimen. Okay, for some of the specimens, we also did DIC, that is digital image correlation. For that, we put this random pattern on the specimen at some part of the specimen, and we zoomed our camera near that specimen to find out the displacement field in order to calibrate and validate our FEM simulations. On this, yeah. So let me show some of the results from our experiments. So these are the results of displacement from DIC. Okay, so the first figure shows the bending displacement for the specimen, and the second figure shows the opening displacement. Okay, and these results we got by correlating the deformed images in DIC softwares. Okay, this figure shows different quantities we can extract from the experiment. So solid line shows the displacement, endpoint displacement of the bar. That is the loading bar. This is calculated by using the simple one-dimensional theory, one-dimensional wave theory. The solid line comes from there. The hollow dots, the open dots, are the displacement which are measured at the specimen. Basically, this black dot which is shown on the first figure, these are the displacement measured for this black dot. So these are so the hollow dot shows the displacement of the specimen, and the black dot the solid line shows the displacement of the bar. And the deviation, any deviation between these two displacement will actually show the contact loss between the specimen and the bar. So that's how we could very well capture that there is a contact loss happening between the specimen and the loading bar. Okay, and because of which there is a kind of unloading goes, which also affects the CMOD, which has been measured using the opening displacement, that is the crack mouth opening displacement, which is plotted with the open square. So you can see wherever this unloading happens, after the slight delay, there is a drop in the crack mouth opening displacement, and it again picks up when it again comes into contact. Okay, then we also get the information about the fracture time from the high-speed images. So the images are captured with the interval of time delta t. Okay, so this is an image just before the fracture, and this is the image after the fracture, where we can say the crack has propagated. So we say that the fracture time is time tf, which is the average time of time t1 and t2, with an error bar of t2 minus t1 by 2. Where T1 is the time just before the fracture and T2 is the time just after the fracture. So lesser the time delta T, lesser will be the error bar in our results. So with this, the details about the numerical simulation, we use a constitutive model which is given by the Boyce, This model is a very old model, but this model is a very old model, but it is very elegant model which can capture most of the significant features of the polymer behavior. It can take rate, it can capture the rate, temperature, and pressure dependent yield of the polymer. It can capture the strain softening which happens after the yield, and also it can capture the rate and temperature dependent hardening of the polymer. On the right hand side, I show some of the experiments and results from the simulation which has been fitted to these experiments. Okay, it can be seen that it can very well capture for a given set of parameters. It can very well capture the rate dependent behavior in compression as well as tension. Okay, with all the things ready, now okay, before that, yeah, so we validate our numerical simulations done using this constitutive model. So we have measured the displacement field from the simulation using DIC. We perform this simulation using the boundary condition which we got from the experimental data. We simulate a numerical model, and then we compare the displacement field around the notch, and it can be observed that the DIC and the simulation data matches quite well. Apart from that, we also compared the displacement of the specimen, which we compared with the displacement of the specimen which we got from the DIC data. This dashed line shows the displacement from the simulation, whereas the circle which we saw earlier is also the displacement from the experiment. Okay, and both of them actually quite match very well, and also the contact loss is very well captured by the simulations also. Okay, so this gives us a confidence on our simulation, and then we are ready to go ahead and study some of the interesting one of the interesting problem of fracture initiation. Before going into detail, we saw that we should look closely what happens near the crack tip. So for that, what we did, we loaded first our specimen in a static condition in a UTM, and then we looked this crack tip at a very very closely. So this is a transparent specimen. We take the advantage of transparency of a specimen, and we look at what happens ahead of the crack tip. So in this figure, what you see is the notch tip. So this is the crack face, and rest of the black thing is actually polymer, because it is a transparent. What we are seeing on the other side is a black color. So we are going to observe what happens at the notch tip. Okay, so this is the animation which shows the damage process happening ahead of the notch before the whole specimen fracture. Okay, you can see that there are small voids starts ahead of the crack tip. I should not say void, I will say defects. So there are small defects starts appearing ahead of the void, and those defects combine join each other and form a larger defect before the whole specimen fractures. Okay, this I will show the static image of these things taken at important points. So this is unloaded case. The first image is the unloaded case. In the second image, you can see there is a small void pops up at some distance from the notch tip. It is far from the notch tip, not connected with the notch tip. Okay, when you load it further, this void starts growing, and there is another void which is isolated, not connected with the previous void, appears somewhere else, again ahead of the crack tip, not connected with the main crack tip. When we further load it again, the same process continues. The voids which appeared earlier, they start coalescing, and the new voids starts appearing. You can also, it is also visible that these voids are not in the same plane. If you look at these two voids, there is a black line in between. This suggests that these voids are not in the same plane. They are different plane in depth wise. Okay, and ultimately all the voids kind of coalesce to each other and form a large defect before the ultimate fracture happens. So this is the final image, after which the big defect which has appeared connects with the main notch or crack, and the final fracture happens. So this is the phenomena which we captured in the real time. Then we looked at what is the stress, what is the level of stress at which the very first void appears using the simulation. Okay, we went to the simulations. This is the J integral versus time obtained from the obtained from simulation, and these are the several points, several important points where the defect initiated and it grew. So we look at the simulation. We look at the simulation results at the very first at the onset of very first defect. We see that the mean stress, which largely governs the initiation of void, is having a level of 80 MPa, and we also calculated that the maximum stress appear not at the notch tip, it is slightly away from the notch tip, and the distance which is there is more or less similar to what we could capture in the experiments. It was close to 0.3 MPa. In the simulations also we could find that the maximum stress comes close to 0.3 mm, 0.3 mm. Okay, then our main interest was in the dynamic fracture. So because we got such a interesting phenomena in static, we thought let us let us try to capture the similar phenomena in dynamic fracture. So we looked at the specimen using high speed camera. Again, we zoomed it close to the notch tip, and then we recorded it at an interval, at a very small time interval, that is 0.1 microsecond interval. This interval is very small, especially with this type of camera. The specialty of this camera is that it gives very limited images, but all the images are given at a constant resolution, that is 1 megapascal. Rest of the camera, with the smaller time interval, the accuracy of resolution actually goes down. Okay, so we could very well capture similar kind of phenomena in dynamic fracture also. I will show the static images for this also. Here also, if you can see, that at t is equal to 80 microsecond, there is nothing ahead of this notch tip. But as soon as we look at t is equal to 81 microsecond, there is some kind of defect, not very clear, but it is but it can be observed, some kind of defect can be observed ahead of the crack tip. With the increase in time, this defect size increases and forms a crack kind of crack like structure. Again, we went back to the simulations and tried to find out what is the level of stress when this defect initiates. And what we found that in dynamic case, the defect initiation stress comes close to 115 MPa, which is higher than what is there for the static case. So the two difference which you can see clearly observe between the void initiation or defect initiation in static as well as dynamic is that the time or the process of defect initiation to final fracture in static phenomena is very energy consuming. There is a large time difference between the defect initiation to final fracture, whereas in dynamic fracture this happens very quickly. Once the initiation happens, there is very less time difference between the initiation to fracture. Okay, so from here we found the critical mean stress for defect initiation at different J rate. Again, this J rate kind of denotes the loading rate on the specimen, and we saw that the critical mean stress for defect initiation in static case is in dynamic case is higher than that in the static stress. Okay, we looked at the fractured surfaces to see if we can get more information out of the fractography. The fractograph of the polycarbonate are very well studied and very well understood. That's why we thought let us look at the fractograph of these specimens. So basically we take the fractured surface and look at it under the SEM. This is the fractograph of statically fractured specimen. We could very well correlate the kind of defects which were visible in our camera images. We could very well locate some of the defects in fractograph also. For example, this shape A, which actually correlates with the very first void which appeared in the during the loading, and then rest of the void coalesces, and they form this big defect, which is represented with the black boundary, which is shown by the black dot. So basically this is the defect which after which the complete specimen fails, and that is also clear after the striation marks which are visible after this black dot. So these are the marks which forms because of the tearing of crazes. So if you remember in the second slide I mentioned the crazes, they form ahead of the crack tip. So these are the crazes, and when they tears down, they form this kind of marking. This is very well understood in literature, and they form the they radially emanate from the crack tip. Okay,
Dr.
yeah.
You have 5 more minutes.
Okay, yeah, sure. So this can be seen here. Whereas in dynamic fracture, we can see that this defect initiation zone was very small compared to that in the static case, and that we could also correlate in the from our images. Okay, then we simulated the condition of void ahead of the notch, and from there what we could find is the critical plastic strain at the time of final fracture. What we could find is that in static case, the critical plastic strain reaches on the both side of the void. That means if the fracture happens, the final fracture happens, the crack grows from the void on towards the notch and away from the notch. Whereas in dynamic condition, the maximum critical plastic stress reach only on the one side. That means first the crack will grow from void to the main crack, and then the overall specimen will fail. And final conclusion was that from our simulation we could also find the final fracture toughness, and what we could conclude is the defect initiation toughness increases with the J dot, whereas the final fracture toughness remains more or less same with the rate. We also did the same thing for different notch radii, and let me skip these results. I will come to the direct conclusions. Okay, so the conclusion was that the notched polycarbonate fractures in a brittle manner under both static as well as dynamic loading. Brittle fracture in polycarbonate starts with defect initiation ahead of the notch, followed by unstable fracture. Critical mean stress, which is stress which is required for defect initiation, it increases with loading rate, whereas the critical plastic stress which is required for fracture initiation remain constant with loading rate. Defect initiation toughness increases with loading rate. However, the fracture initiation toughness remain invariant with the loading rate. So basically we could define these two terms, defect initiation toughness and the fracture initiation toughness, which is at the final fracture. We believe that the visible defect initiation in amorphous polymer is an unstable growth and coalescence of nano and micro size void under the notch-tip triaxiality. Increase in critical mean stress with decreasing notch-tip radius can be correlated with the critical mean stress required for unstable void growth. So this I did not show. Yeah, so that's all from my side. This work was done at IIT Kanpur. With my thesis supervisor, Professor Sumit Basu and Professor P. Venkat Narayanan. And thanks for the opportunity to present.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fai, for that wonderful talk. We have time for a couple of short questions from the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Manish, you can speak up.
Okay, can I hear you?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, Anshul. Thanks. Nice talk. So I have two questions. So one is like, as you shown that void nucleation and ahead of the crack tip, notch tip. In the modeling, have you used the void beige approach like Gerson model or some kind of?
No, we have not done that. So basically, for the very first simulation we did without modeling any defect, and the second we did one of the simulation where we modeled the defect from the starting, and then we saw what happens around that void before the final fracture happens. We have not modeled any.
I see. Also, here you introduce the void a priori.
Yeah. So we have not used any growth of the void.
So okay, so but how you then see that void nucleation and stuff like
Void nucleation we have observed in experiment, and then we have correlated with the timing, loading time.
I see. Okay, okay, we haven't that. And the second following question was the usually in other materials like in bulk metallic classes, what we have seen like as rate increase,
Yes.
hydrostatic tension ahead of the tip is also increased, and so your void may nucleate very early, and which give the opposite intuitive, like at higher rate you may have a less toughness because you nucleate void very early and crack propagate very fast.
Yeah. So the reason for
But
that,
is
what
there
we found is,
okay?
yeah, because these models are rate dependent. So with the increase in rate, the yield stress increases,
I
and
see.
because of that, the mean stress which is required for defect initiation
I
also
see.
increases.
Okay. I see. Okay. 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 I got it. Thanks.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the presentation, sir. My name is Srinivas, and I have one question.
Yes.
Um, in your conclusions, sir, you made some conclusions wherein it could be compared to, brittle fracture in PC starts with defect initiation ahead of notch, followed by unstable failure. And you also reported formations of voids in
Yes.
the, yeah. So, sir, can this be compared to failure of steel at like ductile materials in general at ordinary temperatures? And my question is if there is a scope to study the same with respect to variation of temperature, because steel failed, it experiences brittle failure at low temperatures, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that's my question, sir. Like, has the variation been studied with respect to temperature?
No, with temperature we have not studied it. But basically with temperature, yeah, polycarbonate, all the polymers changes their behavior very rapidly with the temperature, and obviously polycarbonate also becomes very brittle. So when you go at the low temperature, as I showed, and it becomes brittle, it starts fracturing with this crazing kind of phenomena, not the void initiation and all. So but the phenomena itself changes when temperature changes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Fai.
Thank you, Professor Santi.
Thank you.